How you doing today?
We're doing pretty good. Doing pretty good.
Now, are you Rick? So Rick, pleasure to meet you. Let me turn on my camera so you can see who's talking to you.
I feel like we would just
Yeah,
level the
sure
playing
thing.
field a bit
Yeah,
there. I always feel bad,
Yeah,
like,
of course. No, that's cool.
when you're the one person on a Zoom call with your camera on and everybody else is like you hear voices.
uh,
Especially if it's a bunch of Josh just ganging up on you. That
right,
like makes it even
exactly,
That's
worse.
true.
Yeah.
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
You're
true.
just all in for trouble. My name is Josh Gershman. This is my partner Josh Hammond. Together, we have
Hi.
our own little podcast called the Untitled Joshcast, where we talk about all things pop culture. And certainly, the two of us are huge video game players. We have a weekly Twitch stream that we do as part of our podcast. So
Cool.
we are always playing games and talking about them while we're oftentimes talking about many other things. So we're really excited to chat with you.
Awesome. Cool. No, thanks so much for coming to hang out and taking a look at Cafe Manager. Yeah, I guess for
Of
the intro
course.
for me is like, hi, I'm Rick with Roost Games. We're a tiny little Dutch indie studio, and we're making Cafe Manager. We're like 3 developers and 1 person that is just helping us on the business end. So it's yeah, just us 3 really.
That is a very
So
tiny team.
yeah, it is. But it's like it's kind of awesome as well. Like we've worked, all 3 of us, all 4 of us actually have worked on bigger teams before this together. So it's been kind of interesting to find out, like, okay, without all these other sort of supporting people, what can we do? What can we make? And it turns out it's like a lot more than we were initially expecting. So that's been kind of fun to find out.
Do you
Um,
find that working in a small
hmm,
team like that, do you find that it makes it more efficient for you? You can just move forward with the ideas that you want. You don't have to like cut through tape and stuff like that. Does it make it easier?
yeah, yeah, that is definitely like that is a big help, I think. Like there is definitely some value to be found in having a bunch of really like smart people with really smart ideas, but it does mean that it does bog the process down somewhat, right? Like you have to hear out all these smart ideas and you have to figure out what is the right smart idea to make the game be good or like make it become the thing that you want it to actually be. Um, so with just the 3 of us, and each of us are from very different backgrounds. I'm more like a designer. Rutger is like my partner who does programming and also some game design. And Carmen is just like pure art and animation. So like each of us, we come at this from like a very different perspective and are able to sort of bring in our own little things. And I think we came up with something pretty cool here.
Josh and I talked
Yeah.
beforehand as we were, kind of getting ready for E3 and the kinds of people that we were going to talk to. And what was really
Hmm.
exciting to me and to us is, our podcast is a team of 4. It's the 2 of us and 2 others
Yeah.
that are greatly produce the show and help the 2 of us,
Hmm.
stay on track. And I was like, we'll probably talk to people who are just the size that we are. And you are literally 4
Yeah.
people who are
The
making this
same
game,
boat,
which
right?
is great. It's incredible. Um, I got to dive into the game a little bit earlier today.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and it
Cool.
was, I mean, I was like smitten right away. I have to tell you, this is like the most Untitled Joshcast video game that's ever been created. This is like we run
Yeah.
it's a very pet friendly podcast, and I'm actually surprised
Awesome.
there are no cats on screen right now.
I'm really sad
They're
about it.
somewhere.
Normally, when we do anything, there's a cat sitting
Uh-huh.
right here, just staring at the screen, and like I don't know
There's
if he's
no
just got
Josh to be seen,
stage
just a
fright
cat.
because he knows that you're like, yeah, you're like a cat professional, so he's like nervous. I don't know
Yeah,
what has
exactly.
happened, but
Very
he's
discerning. I'm
normally
very
just right
discerning when it
here.
comes to my cats. No,
But yeah,
that's
That's
super
fair.
cool to hear, and thanks for taking the time to play the demo a little bit. That's awesome.
yeah, certainly. It was really charming. I mean, like it has comparisons to a lot of other games in the simulation space and that kind of like the
Mhm.
top-down 2D animation style of it. Um, the first thing the first thing that really struck me was the music. Like the music is just so nice. I liked the on the loading screen of the game on that little bar that loads
Mhm.
across the bottom, it said like loading lo-fi beats or something like that, something to that effect. And I
Yeah.
was that properly sets the mood. The music is just really fantastic.
Oh,
Throughout the
that's
whole
awesome. Yeah,
like
we're
my
working
experience is
with
really good.
Yeah, we're working with another, like all of us are Dutch, and we're working with a Dutch music partner. Her name is Sonja, Sonja Vos, and she makes like awesome music stuff. So I'm really excited about that. I'm happy to hear that you like it.
It
And
was
yeah,
great.
like as for the lo-fi part, like whenever I pitch this game, I always say Cat Cafe Manager is a relaxing business sim. And that's like really integral for us for the game. It's like we want to make a game that has like a crunchy underbelly of like a management game, a management sim, but that is never like taxing you on your stress levels.
Yeah.
It's sort of like something that you can play to chill out. I like, and that sort of that came out like when we started talking about like, okay, we want to make a management game in which you run a cat cafe. I used to live in Japan where I was kind of addicted to going to cat cafes because they were so bizarre and weird. Um, and the thing that I liked about them so much was that it is such a relaxing space. It's like so good for your mental health. I mean, I'm not allowed to have cats in my apartment, so I don't have any. But like to be able to just go somewhere and sit down and just look at a cat and maybe pet the cat and maybe drink some tea or something, and then that. So that was like really important to us to get those vibes,
Yeah.
in the game as well.
I've only been to one cat cafe in my
Hmm.
experience. It was in San Francisco, and it was kind of exactly that. You just go, it's super chill. You drink some tea,
Yeah.
and it reminded me a lot of what I've seen in like the screenshots and just the some of the gameplay video that has either been on like in trailers or in the like press kits and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, Definitely captures that vibe for sure.
Cool. No,
It
I'm
does.
super happy to hear that. 'Cause
I definitely have a bit of a YouTube addiction, and one of the things that I've always loved watching is like reviews of like Japanese cat cafes.
wow,
And like you
I've
said,
never
it
tried
is
looking at reviews.
really and the word that you oh my god, I just sent you down a rabbit hole. This I'm sorry that that happened. But it's worth watching. But you really captured it where you were like, they're just so, so different and so weird. And something that really stood out to me about the game is like you really captured the personality of like how cats can be also like when you launch like each of the cats you can pick has a personality like there's weirdo, there's chonker, there's
Yeah.
diva, and like it's cool that you've like captured that each cat is like an individual soul with an individual personality, which is what has always drawn
Yeah,
me
because they
to
they really
cats.
are. Yeah. For me, like
What
the first time that I
Yeah, go
visited.
ahead,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry. No, no, no. Go ahead.
No,
Finish
no,
your thought there.
I was just gonna say what I was just gonna say what inspired you, like, when making the game, like, what inspired you to draw on these personalities? Like, are there personal experiences or
Yeah, I think for me, like the sort of initial spark of inspiration to do that. Well, I love animals. I've always grown up with animals, so I've always known animals to be the same as us in the sense that they have their anxieties and they have their quirks and they have the things they love and hate. But also, I was at this cat cafe in Kyoto, and there was this one cat that came over and sat down on my lap, and I was sort of petting it a little bit. And then when I left, one of the employees came over to me and said, "Did you enjoy your time with Nico?" And they gave me a little business card
Oh,
that
that's so
had the
cute.
little cat on it, and it said Nico. And they
Oh,
said, "Next time you're here, you can show us the card, and we'll see if they're available."
That's
So,
amazing.
uh, yeah, to know like, okay, in this cat cafe, like each of these cats is sort of like presented to you almost like a little like, just like a on the wall it would say like, hey, these are the cats, these are the kind of cats they are, this is what they like, this is what they don't like. So that part is just very important to me when it comes to cat cafes, right? But I'm happy you picked up on that. Like that is super important to us that each of these cats is like slightly different, and has their own quirks, and sometimes they can be annoying, and so it's because that's and sometimes they're not. Like that is just yeah, sort
yeah.
of what we set
I
out
think
to
it's
do.
important
So
that
that's
you
so
fit
cool to
the
hear.
it's important that you fit the kind of annoying sometimes in because I think that's a really important aspect of cats too, is like you have to love them unconditionally. Like they're going to
Yeah.
yowl at 4 in the morning, and that's just part of it. It's what you sign up for.
random yelling would be a pretty good cat trait, I think.
Yeah.
Because it will just randomly yell out and annoy people. We also like something that I kind of like about that thing is I always want to. So each if you played the demo, you might have noticed this, but actually, if you want, I can like stream out the game while we talk about this,
That would
just
be
so I can
great.
point some things
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
Cool.
that'd be
Here.
wonderful.
Yeah, can you see the stream in Discord?
Sure can.
Cool,
Yeah.
great. Yeah, so in the game, I have a pretty like sort of medium to late game cat cafe setup here, so it's like pretty big. But different kinds of customers visit your cafe. So here we have a fisher folk, a fisher person, and they each have different things that they want in your cafe, like both from a cafe side, like the kind of food they want to eat. Some of them just want like a nice, comfortable chair, but also like what kind of cats they want to hang out with. So each cat appeals to different kinds of customers. If these cats would stop walking out here, Mallory is very lazy; they just sleep a lot. So if we look at Mallory, like they have a level 3 score in business people and level 2 in artists. So those are the two types of customers that like hanging out with a cat like Mallory. And as for those like those little traits, for example, like you mentioned Brian, who's a weirdo. I wanted to sort of give that vibe, like, okay, Brian is going to pee on the floor at some point. Like it's you know, you can put down a bunch of litter boxes, but they're probably going to do it eventually because they're a little weirdo. But there will always be
Yeah.
someone that finds that charming, right? So that's why they get a +1 score to witches. Like witches are kind of weird themselves, so when they see that happen, it makes them happy in some way. So that idea that like, oh, all these cats have their own little quirks, but you know, like that's always going to come with some kind of benefit, like someone that enjoys seeing that kind of quirk in a cat.
Yeah, I love that. You know, like
Yeah. The cats just got to find their kindred spirit.
in my
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Totally.
in my playtime thus far, I've only just touched on the kind of the
Yeah.
mystery lore that exists outside of the cafe, which is I'm
Mm-hmm.
really fascinating, of this mysterious giant black cat that just shows up. I'm curious
Yeah.
if is that inspired by any like particular European lore, or is this something that you know just kind of wanted to develop on your own as this kind of mysterious forest of mysterious
Yeah.
cats?
I think for the world of Cat Cafe Manager, I was very much inspired by sort of Dutch lore as well as British, like Old English lore. Sort of, we wanted to set the game in like the countryside, and I went into like a little deep dive of like, okay, we want to do something about this town's history and how it relates to cats. There's like all these stray cats around, and you will sort of start to find out why that is. Why are all these stray cats running around? So I went into like a deep dive of like, okay, what kind of legends and myths exist about cats? And one of them is obviously like, hey, witches used to have like black cats as familiars, so we wanted witches in the game in some way. But also the Grimalcon, which is the name of that black cat, is an actual like mythological figure in, I think, British lore. Although the version of the Grimalcon in our game is kind of like a pastiche of a number of different like legends around cats, where sort of the idea that I came up with for myself is that all these different legends were all pulled from this one cat, this Grimalkin, that sort of sauntered along the countryside throughout history, getting up to like shenanigans. So yeah, like I think people that happen to know about that kind of thing will notice specific things about its character design, like it has a weird white stripe on its chest, which is a reference to a specific urban like little called the King of the Cats. Is like another like weird British cat lore thing. Or this like cat starts running through a town yelling, "The King of the Cats is coming," and that's like a whole like a whole thing.
I love that.
So yeah, I pulled inspiration from a couple of things there.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I just like that.
That's amazing.
Even just reading, you know, like the press materials, it teases out this mystery in the village, and
Mm-hmm.
I was not at all ready for this giant cat to show up at my cafe. So it was just really exciting. And then it's, I assume
Oh.
it'll be a little bit more of that as you play, that you'll get these mysterious visits from
Uh,
Grimalcon.
yeah, exactly. So the Grimalkin Oh, hold on. Actually, I should probably pull Josh back in.
Oh, did we lose him?
Yeah. Hey, Josh.
Hey,
Oops.
that was really
Something.
strange.
There he is. Yeah, Discord will act up sometimes. Yeah,
We
so
should-
Josh
yeah,
just
we're very
asked me
familiar
about
with that.
hey, yeah. Yeah, oh,
We
I bet.
we should blame that disappearance on British cat lore. We angered them
Exactly. Yeah, that's
somehow,
just
and
the king of the cats, right? But yeah, Josh was
Yeah.
asking about hey, this story with the Grimalkin, is that going to keep evolving throughout the game? And that's where the let me actually blah blah blah. Arlalala wants to talk and give me a gift. Here, she's going to give me some witch's brew so I can go over to this other thing. Thanks, Carla. Yeah, so the shrine, this is like your kind of research tree in the game. The Grimalkin asks you hey, I need your help restoring this shrine. And to do that, all you need to do is essentially make your customers happy. They become happy, they will help you restore the shrine. And that is also your sort of main goal of the game. Obviously, your main goal, I guess, is making the cat cafe of your dreams. But if you want to see the credits, this is how you do that: is by basically progressing through the shrine and slowly making it nicer and more beautiful. And as that happens, the Grimalkin and other characters will basically keep checking in on you, be like, "Hey, this is looking pretty good," and then you can ask them some questions about the town and its history and the Grimalkin, where do they come from, what are they even, and that kind of thing will slowly get revealed. By the end, there is some kind of dramatic conclusion that I won't spoil. There is an evil corporation that hates cats involved. I'll say that much. But yeah,
Is there any
no.
risk
way
of
more? Yeah.
is there any risk of upsetting the Grimalkin? Like if you do a poor job running the cafe?
No. This kind of goes back to that thing that I mentioned with the it being a relaxing management game. We used to have the game, we all love management games, and Rutger especially really likes base building, nitty gritty base building games.
Mhm.
So we went into the game with that vibe initially, and you could actually lose. Yeah, like you mentioned, you could you had certain deadlines and goals that you had to meet. And when we play tested that, we found that it kind of destroyed that initial mission statement we had. That sort of that positive, cozy vibe sort of made way for okay, I need to be efficient, and I need to set things up in this particular way, which wasn't really what we wanted. So no, the Grimalkin, you can take as long as you want, and the Grimalkin is happy with whatever effort you're able to put in, and the story will be revealed to you either way, essentially.
I like that approach. I can definitely think of other games that
That's cool.
are equally cozy, but also still have some way of making you feel bad. Like there's some, not necessarily a failure state, but there is something that happens that
Right.
at least the people are unhappy, or something is happening in the game that makes you feel like you've done a bad job in the game. So I can appreciate that, the answer, and that approach of, wanting to keep the
Yeah, I mean,
players moving along and keep them happy while you're actually playing the game.
yeah. That thing can still sort of happen in the sense of hey, this fisherman his satisfaction is 0%, so he's not super stoked. So it happens in those little ways, but then I can think about, okay, all right, what do I need to do to increase this? Maybe I need a cat that specifically appeals to fishermen. I actually don't think I have one in this cafe currently. So that is I think there is sort of some amount of pushback that the game gives you, but it's never gonna fail you. The fisherman will pay out a little bit less resources, and that's too bad, but you still get something for your trouble.
That makes sense.
Yeah. The thing that really stands out to me is you mentioned business sims, and we both love business sims, Josh and I both.
Yeah.
But it really stood out to me that it's a business sim that is really based around, a deep level of storytelling, which isn't something that you commonly find, or at least I commonly find
Right.
in business sims. Like there's a minor amount of storytelling usually, but it's usually just to get you to the next task. It's kind of like a hand in your back that pushes you along. And I love that you
Mhm.
took the time to build a full blown story. Like it feels like a narrative and not just a checklist. And that's really cool.
Cool. Yeah, I'm super happy to hear that. I think this is like we have done some story stuff in like previous games that we worked on together,
Yeah.
but this is like the first time that we've kind of like made a big swing in terms of story stuff. So I'm like really excited to hear that you enjoy that part of the game. Um, yeah, as far as like why did we decide to do that? I'm not entirely sure. It's just something that we knew we wanted to do. I think it's part of that coziness for us came from the idea that you're and this is like kind of a more popular thing in video games these days anyway, but the idea that you are an outsider that's getting to know this community and sort of becoming a part of the community and providing a service to the community in the form that you are like starting this cat cafe back up. And this is a thing that'll become more clear throughout the game as you progress, but I'll just spoil it here. I'm sorry. But this town that you're in is slowly like what is the word for it? Like becoming like sort of being pulled into the 21st century in the
Okay.
sense that like globalization's coming in and like big construction projects, and the villagers are slowly kind of like feeling the anxieties of the 21st century creeping into their idyllic lives. And it's you and the cats especially that are sort of there, like you're providing the service of like giving them a space to like relax and find themselves again. So that's sort of the yeah, we kind of knew we wanted to do a bunch of story to get that feeling across.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. I think that's
Yeah,
a pretty
but happy
important
happy
story
you're
to,
liking it.
to tell today too. For
Yeah,
sure.
like we definitely sat
If
down and
you
yeah, it's oh sorry. If I go ahead.
no, you're okay. There's a Discord delay. Sorry about that. I was just gonna
No,
say, if
that's
you had
fine.
to pick, without spoilers, of
Mm.
course, like if you don't reveal, um, what would you say that your favorite personal cat in the game is? Which one do you connect to the most?
Um, well, I'm gonna cheat because my favorite personal cat in the game isn't a cat at all. It's a cat called Mingus, who is a raccoon that sneaks into your cafe, and
Oh, I
everybody
love
just
that.
kind of agrees that it's a cat. So
That
you
that
you have
sounds
a
amazing.
like you and yeah, there's like so here let me show this off real quick. But basically, you can to get new cats. I don't know if you played with this in the demo, but you can buy these different stray lures, and these are used to basically have different strays, like attract different strays to your cafe. So like a rustic greens attracts crude cats who love nature, and hearty home cooking attracts mellow cats. There is a way in the game to just have one of the characters give you some trash, like, hey, here you go, here's some trash. And if you then decide to put that out, that is the way, like spoilers, but that is how you attract this raccoon that then essentially decides to stay in your cafe and you can't get rid of him anymore. And he's my favorite. So it's not
That's
actually a cat,
amazing.
but
I definitely can't wait to meet Mingus the raccoon, who we all agree is a cat. That sounds really fun.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Yeah, that's the running gag. It's like, oh yeah, that's definitely a cat.
I'm curious from a development standpoint for a game that, like, from what it sounds like, you definitely put a lot of effort into making a game that's cozy and fun to play and keeps you coming back. What's the hardest part of
Mhm.
making a game that does that? Or like making a game that is purposefully cozy and like entertaining and comfortable to play?
Hmm, that's a tough question. That's a good question though. It, I think it. Yeah, we've already kind of talked about it, but has like I found with us that it is finding that balance of like you want, especially a management game, you want it to be a game about finding your own success. like creating a little machine or a little business that functions and like it's like a well-oiled machine essentially. But to do that without the negative feedback becoming a thing that you sort of can get lost in. Like well, one of the Joshes, you mentioned this earlier, like that is a thing that in management games is fairly prevalent. So for us to find ways to work around that was like kind of difficult. I'll give an example if I can get through the Grimalcon here. So all these customers, like I mentioned, have different needs. And we used to have in the game that when you served a certain amount of customers, that customer group would level up. So if I serve like 20 fishermen, they level up and become more difficult. Which is like cool because hey, that way the game kind of like keeps like the stakes keep increasing. That's what you would expect from most games. So that's what we had. But when we play tested that, it started feeling again like a little bit stressful because like outside of your control, the game was like becoming more difficult and you had to keep adjusting things yourself. So that's why as eventually we ended up with the system that we have right now, which is that you decide when you want a customer group to level up and become more challenging. So it's totally up to you when you feel ready to take on like a higher challenge. You do
I
have
like
to do some things to
Huh.
unlock the ability to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like
Yeah,
that
so it sort
idea
of
of
becomes a
kind of like
goal. Yeah.
adaptive, like it's like an adaptive difficulty that you choose when it levels up.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we want to present it more like a goal or a reward. Like, hey, if you manage to here it says like get a relationship level 2 with Carla Lala, then you can upgrade the witches. And it makes them more difficult, but they also pay out more resources. So this thing that felt kind of bad, I think we did an okay job sort of flipping that on its head and hopefully making it feel like a goal that you're working towards. And yeah, like you said, like you can decide like, hey, I feel ready for this to be tougher. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a game where it allows you to control in real time if you want a group of things to level up. Josh, have you ever seen that?
No, I mean, usually it's, a game that has maybe very simple difficulty settings, right? An easy, medium, and a hard, and those all relate to different things. Sometimes it's very straightforward as like the game is just harder or bad guys will hit you harder, but it's not quite the same as
Yeah.
choosing when a game levels up or choosing when a difficulty ramps up. I think that's really smart too. I don't suppose there's a way to go backwards. Like if you find that witches at level 2 are more difficult, if you can revert them to level 1, but I do like this idea a lot.
Yeah, that's not a thing that you can do right now. Also, like, I'm pretty sure it's tuned in the way that, like, even if you level up to level 2, and it means that they are less satisfied, because they pay out a bigger, like, bounty of resources, it should still be, like, a straight kind of upgrade.
Right.
With a bigger, like, possibility space for rewards, right? You are now able to get more. I do hope that it doesn't feel bad if you, like, upgrade the punks or whatever, and then they suddenly want a recipe that you just don't have, and they're all like angry. But I don't think it's gonna be quite that bad.
Got it. Okay, that's good to
At
know.
least we'll try to tune it that way.
I
But
really like
yeah.
the system though. So this game has a lot of systems between like the cats and the people and everything like that. I'm curious what I'm curious if any of them took longer to build or perfect than others. If is the was the cat behavior algorithm or however that
Mhm.
works, was that any more or less
Yeah.
difficult than like the customers? Or I'm curious as to how the systems work together and what kind of balance, like what did it take to balance all these out?
Um, that's also a tough question. Like I'm sort of having to dig back into my memory because like a lot of these systems we sort of built fairly like when we were working on the foundations of the
Yeah.
game. I think the it's so tough because it all kind of like interlocks. Like the customer's needs are so directly related to your cats. I think the cats have been most difficult because they're also the most detailed. Like the customers don't have a personality trait that means they root around in the trash and make a mess or something. That's
Right.
only some of the cats will do that. So in that sense, like just the amount of work, there's more for the cats because the customers are in the end fairly simple. Like they want certain dishes, they want certain cats, and they want certain things from your cafe. Like it needs to be spacious enough or it needs to be clean enough, and basically sort of stat checks. Whereas the cats are a little bit more, like can go in more like different directions.
How long has this game actually been in development? I'm not sure if I saw that, or if I did, I apologize, I missed it.
It's from the beginning of last year, the start
Okay.
of 2020. Yeah.
As I think
Now
we might be
Josh is
sorry.
Yeah, we might be running out of time here, but I want to thank you guys for taking a look and asking great
Yeah.
questions. It's been a really good, really fun conversation
This
for me.
was really fun. I really appreciate your time. I was
Of
wondering,
course.
as we are running out of it, do you have
Yeah.
any anticipated release date?
Yeah, so what we're able to say right now is the first half of 2022
Okay.
for PC and for Nintendo Switch, which we're really excited
Fantastic.
about because, yeah, that's just something that we basically figured out that we can do very closely before this E3. So we're excited to talk about that now.
That's great. Well, we
All
certainly
right.
we can't wait to play
like,
more. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys so much. And if you played a demo and you have any more questions or thoughts or something, you can always hit me up here on Discord or Twitter, Rick Roost Games, whatever. That's totally cool. And
Yeah, we'll do that.
thanks so much. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I hope you have a great E3, okay?
Thanks a lot,
Thank
Rick.
you.
Have a great day.
All right, peace. Bye.
See ya.